Hi first graders, in math this week we've been talking about 2D shapes and what kinds of shapes there are. We've talked about circles and squares, rectangles, trapezoids, rhombus. So we've talked about many different kinds as well as their attributes. So thinking about what makes them their own shape and what doesn't make them their own shape. So we've talked about, for example, a square. And when we're thinking about the attributes of a square, it has 4 sides and 4 vertices. And that is what defines a square, not the color. As you can see, maybe you can't see the color very well, but this is kind of a bluish gray sticky notes. And that, not all squares are that color. So color does not define what a square is. And I could also turn it, and that's called the orientation. So it might be sitting like this. I might change the orientation and turn it on this point or vertice, and it's still a square because it still has 4 sides and it still has 4 vertices. Okay, I might even change the size. You can see the bottom of this box is also a square, but it's a little bit bigger than my sticky note pad. So the size doesn't define what a square is either. Both are squares. One is bigger, one is smaller. Okay, so we've talked a lot about those attributes and characteristics this week, and so we're going to warm up today with an activity called Which One Doesn't Belong? So you're going to be looking at this picture of 4 different shapes, and you're going to have to decide which one doesn't belong and why. So I'm going to give you some time to look at it, and then you'll get to tell a sibling, tell a parent, why doesn't this shape belong? Or you can even send a video or a little note or message to your teacher about what shape you think doesn't belong and why. You can pause the video for as long as you need to decide which one doesn't belong and why, and to be able to take a chance to share with a sibling or a parent or even your teacher. Today we are going to talk about regular shapes and irregular shapes. We will be able to say, I can create composite shapes using other shapes. So composite shapes is when we're making a shape using 2 or more of the shapes that you see here. Some of the regular ones that we've already talked about are the 2D shapes like a square, a triangle, a circle, and a hexagon. Those are regular shapes because they all have the same length of sides. Irregular shapes that we've talked about are the trapezoid, there's a half circle, a rhombus, and then a triangle that has one side that is longer than the other 2 sides, so that's what makes those irregular shapes. Today we're going to use both of these kinds of shapes to make another regular shape. I'll show you what I mean using the geoboard. Here I'm using my geoboard, and you can pick whichever shape you want for your geoboard, but I'm going to use this one for now, and I'm going to show you how we can use more than one shape to make a regular shape. So I'm going to start by taking a rubber band, and I'm going to make a square like this. Then I could take more rubber bands and continue to add them to my geoboard to make different shapes. Here I am using 4 different squares, smaller squares, to make one large square. I could also start with a trapezoid, and I could add another trapezoid and turn it into a hexagon. So there I took 2 trapezoids and formed one hexagon. So that's a way I could take more than one shape to make a regular shape. Another one that I could do is I could take there's one triangle, and I could take two triangles to form a square. You could also take and make an octagon. Okay, so I made an octagon. Then I'm going to add some triangles to it. One more triangle. So I've added 4 triangles. I have one octagon and 4 triangles to make a square. So there are many ways that you can take other shapes to make another regular shape, and you will just have to play around with the geoboard a little bit to see what shapes you can make. After you've made each shape, I want you to think about how your attributes changed. So remember, your attributes are how many sides and how many vertices that your shape has. So for example, when I made my square, I used 2 triangles. Each of those triangles has 3 sides or 3 vertices, but the one square has 4 sides and 4 vertices. So my attributes changed when I added 2 shapes together to make a new shape. Then when I made my next shape, I started by making an octagon. When I made the octagon, I had 8 sides and 8 vertices. But then I added 4 triangles to that shape, and it turned into a square, and a square only has 4 sides and 4 vertices. Then I made a trapezoid and another trapezoid to form a hexagon. So each trapezoid has 4 sides and 4 vertices. But then when I turn it into a hexagon, it has 6 sides and 6 vertices. So again, my attributes changed. However, when I made my last shape, my large square, I started with 4 small squares, which each have 4 sides and 4 vertices, and my large square still has 4 sides and 4 vertices, so the attributes of that shape did not change. So when you make your shapes today, I want you to think about if your attributes are changing or if they're staying the same when you make a new shape. You may even want to try taking one shape, such as a triangle, and seeing how many triangles can you use to make an even larger triangle. Just like I used 4 small squares to make a square and make the same shape. All right, first graders, now it's your turn, so you can use either link. The first one is the pattern one, where the shapes are already made for you, and the second one is the geoboard that I demonstrated for you how to use, where you can create your own shapes. But remember, your goal is to create a composite shape, which means you're using more than one shape to make an entirely new shape. And don't forget to share with your teachers what you've created and be thinking about how your attributes of each shape might change. So have fun.